this is the note, this is the pitch. But when they colour it in and add the stems, we're now talking about the length of the note. Because there's no point just putting your pitch and you don't have a time for it, because you could be singing E or G for ages. Up my, and someone else would be doing my, you know, and you're at different places in the song. You've already got your cycle of 1, 2, 3, 4 with this top number here. It's a top number here. So we know it's going to have a cycle. Now it's up to the musician and it's up to the person leading out to say how quick that cycle will be, because in the hymn book we don't have your beats per minute. All right? Now, when you have a circle like that, that's the core of the notes. And I'm going to just take off the bass clef for a second so I can show you this. This is now what we're talking about when we're dealing with the length. You basically start with a circle like that. It can be in a line or in a space. We talked about that before. By itself, this is called a semi-breve. Okay? That will take up all 4 of these. You won't even move your finger if you have one of these in this bar here. So this will fill up the whole bar, because you have to count for 4 while pressing this. So this is how it would be. Let's open the piano. So I've got a G and I've got an E there. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's how it would be if we left it like that. That's a semi-breve. It's worth 4 beats when you're using another nomination, which we'll touch on in a second. But you can break that up into 4. This is also called a whole note, but we're just going to use this term because it's easier to understand. Semi-breve is worth 4 beats when it's like this. 4 with a 4 underneath. Okay? The 4 underneath is quarter beats. This is your full whole, and that's getting confusing now. But your 4 underneath is a quarter of this. So when you have a whole orange, all right, then you have it all together. So this is where you have the orange together. You can see it looks like that. Let's put that orange in half, and you use that. You usually have a line to cut it, but we put the line here at the end. And that now has halved this orange. We call that a minim. And that is worth 2 is half. Notice we started with a circle and then we added something. We added what we call a stem, a line there, a stem. And that makes it a minim. Okay? Now, we've got our circle, we've got our stem, colour that in, and it equals a crotchet. It's halved again. Everything you add, it seems, halves the value of the note. So we'll call a crotchet, C-R-O-T-C-H-E-T. It's worth 1. And this is your common denominator normally. We usually use this to mark beats. Most times in the hymn book, you'll have a 4 underneath. 3-4 or 4-4. The 4 at the bottom represents which one of these you're counting in. Okay? The bigger the number generally, the shorter it will be. The smaller the number on the bottom, then the longer it will be. Okay, to take the cycle around. So you've got a semi-breve, which is worth 4. You've got a minim, which is worth 2. You've got a crotchet, which is worth 1. Let's break that in half again. If you do your circle, you've got a semi-breve, you add a stem, you've got a minim, colour that in, you've got a crotchet. Now you add a flag to it. 1 flag, it's called a quaver. That is worth half of the crotchet before. We've got a half there. Same thing, circle, it's just a semi-breve. Stem, it's a minim. Colour it in, it's a crotchet. Put a stem on, it's a quaver. Put another stem on, it's a semi-quaver. Same principle. We'll just end with this one. There's one after. Circle and stem is a minim now. Colour it in as a crotchet. 1 flag is a quaver. 2 flags is a semi-quaver. 3 flags is a demi-semi-quaver. If you added 4, it would be a hemi-demi-semi-quaver. But in this case, we'll just stick with this semi-quaver. That is worth, if that's worth a quarter, that's worth an eighth. And within the set of lines, they tell you how much it's going to add up to, how many you're going to have, how many beats you're going to have, and how much it's going to add up to. In this particular case, in number 15, it's saying that it's going to add up to 4 crotchets. Now you can put it as one whole semibreve, because one whole semibreve is the 4 quarters that crotchets put together. That's fine. What you can't have is 2 semibreves, because then that's worth 8 of these, and it says you should only have 4 crotchets. So the bottom number here is a code for the type of length of note you're going to have in each cycle. Let's break that down. We have semibreve, which is equal to 4. You have your minim, which is equal to 2. You have your crotchet, which is equal to 1. You have your quaver, which is a half. And we're just going to finish with a semiquaver for now, which is worth a quarter of this. Alright, so you've got your treble clef, and then you have your 2 numbers. In other songs, you have your treble clef, your key signature, which we'll deal with another time. And you also have your numbers. Your numbers come third, or they come second if there's no key signature. Treat the 2 numbers like a fraction. There's something of value at the bottom and something of value on the top. The top is your quantity, and your bottom in a fraction is of what? 3 of what? Alright, so I have 3/8. But that will be different if I put a 4 there, wouldn't it? That's 3/4. This is smaller now if I put 16 there. This is big if I put a 3 there. So, yeah? So the top note deals with how many, your quantity. Your bottom note deals with your quality. What quality of note have you got? By quality we mean, have we got a semibreve? That's more in old music, like chances on there we use semibreves at the bottom. You have a 1 at the bottom, but in the hymn book you don't have any 1s. On the bottom you'll have 2s, you'll have 4s, you'll have an 8. Yeah, you just have a 2, 4, and an 8. Right, you won't have a 16. You have a 2, 4, and an 8. So you can have 2/2 or 3/2, or you can have 4/4 or 3/4. You can have 6/8 or 3/8 or 9/8 or 12. You're top heavy thing there. Okay? The top is quantity, the bottom is your quality. And in music you just have to learn what quality the bottom note or the bottom number denotes. When you have a 2, it means you're working in minims. When you have a 4, it means you're working in crotchets. And if you have an 8, you're working in quavers.